Okay. Hare Krishna. So, before the Srimad-bhagavatam class, we the other day, one of our important ISKCON devotees, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, passed away. And so as we do on such days, we sing this song, which we sang the other day for one of our previous acharyas. And so we'll sing this. The song is called the song is called Saparshada Bhagavat Viraha Janita Vilap. This song was written by Srila Narottama Das Thakur, basically describing his great anxiety and his mood when he was trying to find Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya had actually left this planet, and then he tried to find the different associates of Lord Chaitanya, and so many of them had already left, and that's what the song was about. So we'll sing the song, then the translation, and then go on.
What's the name?
This is Gopal. The other day, 2 days ago, Gopal Krishna Maharaj passed away. So that's why we're singing this song today. Yayanilo Premadana Karuna Prachur Eno Prabhu Kota Gela Chaya Thakur Kaha Mora Swarupa Kaha Sanatan Kahadas Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kaha Bonabata Juga Kaha Kavira Eka Kale Kota Gela Guranatala Vashane Sutibo Mata Anale Pashibo Goranga Godera Siri Kota Gile Pavo Se Sabha Sangira Sangye Ekoilo Se Sangana Paya Kane Narutamaza And the translation of this song, which makes more sense before what I just explained about when the author of it wrote it. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srinivasa Acharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottama Das simply weeps. So this Narottama Das Thakur who wrote this, so he had always heard, his whole life he had heard about Lord Chaitanya and about his associates, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj. He knew about all of them, and he so much wanted to meet them and have association with them. But then when he started, actually had a chance, he started searching for them, because it's not like in modern times that you want to go somewhere, you just get on a jet plane and you're there in 10 minutes or an hour. There is mostly it was walking very long distances. So he was walking here and walking there and trying to where he would hear that where he heard Lord Chaitanya was. But when he got there, he found that Lord Chaitanya had finished his earthly pastimes and he was no longer present. So then he wanted to see the devotees who were serving Lord Chaitanya, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and so many others that are listed in this song. And one by one, he would find out where they were, or where they last were seen, and then he would go to that place after. It would take him weeks and months to get there. And when he got there, we found out they were gone. They had also gone. So one after another, because all the associates of Lord Chaitanya were leaving, as after Lord Chaitanya left. They came to associate with him, to assist him, and when he was gone, then they also went. So the Narottama Das Thakur, who came just after everyone, he was here. So he's big Acharya. He wrote a lot of songs. Srila very much glorified his songs, the songbook, the Vaishnava songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas. There's a lot of songs by Narottama Das Thakur. So this is one of those songs. And this is a song, and we sing this on the disappearance days of the different acharyas, the different personalities who have served Krishna, or Krishna himself, or Chaitanya. Normally it's for the devotees who leave. So recently, a couple of days ago, one of our prominent devotees in ISKCON, named His Holiness Gopal Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He so he passed away. He was elderly, in his 80s, like that. But for the devotee who dedicates his life to the service of Krishna, then there's nothing for him. There's nothing to lament because he just goes on with Krishna. This is our with our, and he was initiating guru in ISKCON. Had I don't know how many disciples, many devotees he trained up and guided for many years, and so especially for them it's going to be difficult. And I can't really say a whole lot about him because I hardly ever saw him. He was mostly preaching in India, but there was a lot of service that he did in terms of establishing temples and so many things, and training up devotees. So, so it's always a loss. It's always a loss when such a personality leaves this material world. It's good for them, but it's not. Others have some feeling of lamentation, which is what this song is. That's the mood of this song, lamenting when a devotee goes. So anyway, that's what this is about. I'm sure you can look online. I'm sure there's a whole lot that's been written, and I'm sure there'll be something. The next Back to Godhead magazine that comes out will also have a history, a short biography of this devotee, like that. And then in a few more weeks, there's another one who left. Actually, Jayananda. Jayananda was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada also, and he we'll be singing this song on his disappearance day too. And what's significant about him, which we'll mention when that day comes up, is that this devotee, like all of us, or at least all of us who were here when Srila Prabhupada was present, we joined, and he just dedicated his whole life. It was a short life, I think. He didn't live to be really old. I think I got sick. This Jayananda that we'll speak about in a couple of weeks. He didn't spend a lot of time, but he did a whole lot of service. He dedicated. He chanted. He spent his time. He chanted his japa. He, of course, he followed the principles. He gave everything to Srila Prabhupada. Even he gave his life savings to Srila Prabhupada for print some books, like that. So he gave everything, and it was significant in his case is that he left before Srila Prabhupada departed from this world, and Srila Prabhupada verified that particular devotee went back home, back to Godhead, went to the spiritual world, which was good for the rest of us to know, because it's kind of like we say, like, how is it possible? We have so far to go. But that was someone who had dedicated his whole life, or the last so many years of his life, to Krishna's service, and Srila Prabhupada confirmed that he had gone back to the spiritual world upon leaving that particular body. Anyway, that'll come up in a couple of weeks. I just thought I'd mention that. It's the day before Lord Nrsingadeva's appearance day. Okay, so so now we go on to the Srimad-bhagavatam class. And okay, no, I'm sorry, it's the wrong one. Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay. Maybe I won't sing Jai Radhamadam today. It's getting late. So we'll just go right into the Srimad-bhagavatam class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 4, text 5. Actually, we'll do 5 and 6, because 5 has no purport. The chapter is called Gajendra Returns to the Spiritual World. So nu kampita ishena parikramya pranamyatam lokasya pashato lokam swam agan mukta kilvishaha so nu kampita ishena parikramya pranamyatam lokasya pashato lokam swam agan mukta kilvishaha so nu kampita ishena parikramya pranamyatam lokasya pashato lokam swam agan mukta kilvishaha. Go ahead. So nu kampita ishena parikramya pranam lokasya pashato lokam swam agan mukta kilvishaha saha he king who. Oh, I'm sorry. So, anukampitaha, being favored, ishena, by the Supreme Lord, parikramya, circumambulating, pranamya, offering his obeisances, tam, unto him, lokasha, all the demigods and men, pashyataha, while seeing, lokam, to the planet, swam, his own, agat, went back, mukta, being delivered, kilvishaha, from the reactions of his sin. Having been favored by the causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and having regained his original form, King Huhu circumambulated the Lord and offered his obeisances. Then, in the presence of all the demigods, headed by Brahma, he returned to Gandharva Loka. He had been freed from all sinful reactions. Having been favored by the causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and having regained his original form, King Huhu circumambulated the Lord and offered his obeisances. Then, in the presence of all the demigods, headed by Brahma, he returned to Gandharva Loka. He had been freed of all sinful reactions. Okay. So this verse has no purport. So following the etiquette, we will not comment on this verse. But we'll chant the next verse, which does have a purport. Gajendro Bhagavat Sparshad Vimukto Jnana Bandhanaha Vimukto Jnana Bandhanat Prapto Bhagavato Rupam Pita Vasas Chatur Bhujaha Gajendro Bhagavat Sparshad Vimukto Jnana Bandhanat Prapto Bhagavato Rupam Pita Vasas Chatur Bhujaha Gajendro Bhagavat Sparshad Vimukto Jnana Bandhanat Prapto Bhagavato Rupam Pita Vasas Chatur Bhujaha. Go ahead. Sorry. Give it a second. Gajendro Bhagavat Sparshad Vimukto Jnana Bandhanat Prapto Bhagavato Rupam Pita Vasas Chatur Bhujaha. Word for word synonyms. Gajendraha, the king of the elephants. The king of the elephants, Gajendra. Bhagavat Sparshat, because of being touched by the hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vimuktaha, was immediately freed. Ajnana Bandhanat, from all kinds of ignorance, especially the bodily concept of life. Praptaha, achieved. Bhagavataha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rupam, the same bodily features. Pitavasaha, wearing yellow garments. Chatubhujaha, and four-handed, with conch shell, disc, club, and lotus. Because Gajendra, king of the elephants, had been touched directly by the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was immediately freed from all material ignorance and bondage. Thus he received the salvation of Sarupya Mukti, in which he achieved the same bodily features as the Lord, being dressed in yellow garments and possessing 4 hands. Repeat after me. Because Gajendra, king of the elephants, had been touched directly by the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was immediately freed of all material ignorance and bondage. Thus he received the salvation of Sarupya Mukti, in which he achieved the same bodily features as the Lord, being dressed in yellow garments and possessing 4 hands. Now there's the purport. Srila Prabhupada's purport. If one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead by having his gross body touched by the Lord, his body turns into a spiritual body, and he can go back home, back to Godhead. Gajendra assumed a spiritual body when his body was touched by the Lord. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj assumed his spiritual body in this way. Archana Padati, daily worship of the deity, provides an opportunity to touch the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus it enables one to be fortunate enough to get a spiritual body and go back to Godhead. Not only by touching the body of the Supreme Lord, but simply by hearing about his pastimes, chanting his glories, touching his feet, and offering worship. In other words, by serving the Lord, somehow or other, one is purified of material contamination. This is a result of touching the Supreme Lord. One who is a pure devotee, Anyavilasita Shunyam, who acts according to the Shastra and the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, certainly becomes purified. Like Gajendra, he assumes a spiritual body and returns home back to Godhead. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnana Shalakaya Chakshorun Militam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, good lesson. So, Gajendra had an elephant's body due to some past sinful activities, and he, because of this incident with the crocodile and then being saved personally by the Supreme Lord, he got liberation. He got liberation. And it's described here that he got Swarupya Mukti. So there are 5 kinds of liberation. 5 kinds. One is the first one we don't really want. It's like merging in this Brahma Jyoti, Krishna's effulgence. So, although that may be may be very attractive for some people, but for those who are practicing Krishna consciousness, to merge into the Lord's effulgence and not have any activity, any service for Krishna is like a hellish planet. You don't want it. And then, aside from that, there are other kinds of liberation. One of them is called Sarlokya. Sarlokya means like loka, like a planet. So it means you're liberated to be on the same planet with the Supreme Lord. And the other one is called Samipya. I'm not sure about all the Sanskrit, but you be on the same planet with the Supreme Lord. Swarupya, which is being described here, in the Vaikuntha planets, you can have the same bodily features of the Lord. So in Vaikuntha planets, the Lord, not Krishna Loka, but all the other planets in the spiritual world, Krishna or Vishnu, Narayan, he appears in a four-armed form. He has 4 arms, and he has a very beautiful. His bodily color is like Krishna's bodily color, the same, and he has 4 arms, and he's full of opulence. Of course, God is always full of opulence, and all the inhabitants of the Vaikuntha planets, everyone looks like that. Everyone looks like that. Everyone has the same bodily features as Lord Narayan on those Vaikuntha planets. Of course, nobody forgets who they are. They know who God is, and they know that they are servants of God. The only difference in appearance between the Lord and the devotees of the Lord on the Vaikuntha planets, the only real difference in the appearance is that the Lord has here, he has like a tuft of hair, which is representative of, or it's the goddess of fortune who's there. So nobody else has that. And of course, the Supreme Lord is always the Supreme Lord. But you can have bodily features like that of the Lord there. And so you can imagine, everyone wants to be individual, but in appearance, everyone looks the same. And still, everyone's individual. Everyone is individual because we all spiritually, we all have our own personalities. But the bodily feature, everyone is basically the same in the Vaikuntha planets. So he got that kind of liberation. And so Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here, he's specifically mentioning about deity worship. So deity worship is important. We serve the deities in different ways. Of course, you have to actually have Brahminical initiation to go on the altar, but doesn't mean you have to have Brahminical initiation to do some kind of service, because we are chanting, we're singing Hare Krishna, or other prayers glorifying the Lord, singing that in front of the deities. So you don't have to be on the altar. Anyone can chant like that. You can make flower garlands for the deities. You don't have to have second initiation for that. You can, if you know how to sew, you can sew for Krishna. You don't have to have second initiation for that. There's many things you can do. You can help put on a festival. In a few weeks, we'll be having a festival for Lord Nrsingadev. The 22nd, I think, there will be a festival. So helping to prepare for the festival. Festivals are for Krishna's pleasure. And of course, we enjoy them too, but they're for his pleasure. So this is, to have an opportunity to go on the altar once we're duly initiated, second initiated, is very fortunate. And not everyone gets that opportunity. Not everyone wants that opportunity. actually. Not everyone wants that opportunity, because if they did, we would have a whole lot of pujaris here. Here we do good if we can get 2 or 3 pujaris at the same time on the altar to do some service. I was invited once, a couple times when I was visiting Vrindavan. I was invited to actually go on their altar and assist. Vrindavan, it's Krishna Balaram temple, somehow or other. I don't know how, but I was invited anyway. So I didn't do a whole lot because they had at least 20 devotees on the altar at the time, dressing the deities. They had. I was on the altar with Lalita and Vishaka and Radha Shamasundar. I don't remember the deities' names there. I was there, so they had someone separate for worshiping, taking care of each of the gopis, and then someone for Radharani, someone for Krishna, and then they had two pujaris together bathing the small deities, and each altar was like that. Plus they had. I don't know. I didn't study everything that everyone did, but I did count how many were there. So it was. So we don't have a lot of pujaris here, but those who get a chance to do it and who have that desire to do it will get a chance in the future. It's very fortunate because you get a chance in deity worship. You get a chance to actually touch the deities, which is what we're talking about here. Here, in this case, the Supreme Lord came and directly touched Gajendra. He actually personally pulled Gajendra out of the water, out of the lake, pulled the crocodile out too, and then he killed the crocodile. So saying that because of that, Gajendra got his liberation, and he got his Swarupya Mukti liberation in the Vaikuntha planets, and he went back to Godhead. So it's not that we go and we touch the deities and all of a sudden we just have our spiritual body here and we just disappear from the planet. It doesn't happen that quickly here, but we are getting, by touching the deities, and not just touching the deities, it's regular service, as Krishna sees that. We have to show Krishna that we are sincere, sincerely, wanting to serve him. So one way of showing that sincerity is to regularly do the service, because the mind is not regular. The mind is, accepting the purpose. The function of the mind is accepting and rejecting something on the basis of sense gratification. Just the mind. It's like that. If it feels good, do it. If it doesn't feel good, do something else. And that's the mind. So it takes some determination to keep on doing your any service, not just deity service, any service. It's steady doing anything in spiritual life. It takes time. It takes some determination to do that. The intelligence. We utilize our intelligence to tell the mind, okay, okay, mind, you're coming up with so many excuses why you should not do your service, why you should not stay in this temple, why you should do other things. But the intelligence says, but come on, the mind, you know better than that. You know better than that. It may not feel good, but you stay here and do your service. It'll be good for you, like that. So that's the intelligence. And higher than the intelligence, of course, is the spirit soul. So the idea is to gradually develop what we want to do is develop a spontaneous, pure spontaneous love for Krishna. Because we're practicing sadhana bhakti, we're practicing sadhana bhakti, we're also practicing, we start off with, it's called Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti Vaidhi Bhakti means you're following rules and regulations. And then later on there is Raganuga Bhakti, or Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So it's not that when you go gradually from Vaidhi Bhakti to Raganuga Bhakti that you stop Raganuga Bhakti, you don't follow the rules and regulations anymore. But it's a question of what drives you to do the service. Are you doing your service because you know that okay, I know I have to do this service because if I do, I can become Krishna conscious. If I don't, then I may get stuck in the material world for a long time. So that's Vaidhi Bhakti, which is not a bad thing, but the motive is a spiritual master says do it, so I do it. The books say do it, so we do it. We know that if we intellectualize, if I do this service, then I can. If I do this service, then it'll be good for me. Intellectually, we're thinking like that. So that's Vaidhi Bhakti, which is it's not a bad thing. It's good. And then, but Srila Prabhupada explains that as we continue to do the service, following the rules and regulations, then we gradually get a taste, a higher taste, and it's not just you say black and white. From here, all of a sudden he goes from Vaidhi to Raganuga, but gradually as we continue on our devotional service, then in Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, more and more our purpose for doing the service is because I really, really, really like doing the service. Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Mongol Artik. He says in deity worship, it always refers to getting up for Mongol Artik. So it says you get up for Mongol Artik. He says in the beginning, the disciple may think, I can't get up that early. It's too much. It's too early for me. It's a struggle. So I can't do it. But I have to do it. Because if I don't, I'm not going to become Krishna conscious, and I'm going to be stuck in this material world for a long time, and I can get totally entangled again. So my spiritual master says, get up for Mongol Arati, chant your japa, and everything like that. So that's Vaidhi Bhakti. And then Srila Prabhupada says that, but in time, by getting up for the morning program, chanting, the Gravashtika prayer, that's what we sing for Mongol Arati, and chanting our japa and like that, and keep engaged in devotional service. After some time, more and more we start getting a taste. So then he says you spend your time after you start getting a taste, then you start thinking, oh, Mongol Artik is actually pretty nice. It's enjoyable, and now I can get a chance. I'm looking forward. I'm going to address the deities. I'm going to do so many nice things. I get so much opportunity like this, and the mood changes. So that goes more into the Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti like that. It's still Sadhana Bhakti until we get to the point of ecstasy, which is a whole other level up there, like that. So. In any case, by touching the deity is very important. But Srila Prabhupada says it's not only by touching the body of the Supreme Lord, but simply by hearing about his pastimes. So we hear, from Srimad-bhagavatam, we're hearing about Krishna's pastimes, especially the 10th canto. We hear about Krishna's pastimes. And at least when I joined the movement, and we haven't really done this here forever, but it was a program. This is Srila Prabhupada's program. Before sleeping at night, you read from the Krishna book. Krishna book. You know Krishna book. You know Krishna book? Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It was one of the first books that Srila Prabhupada gave us. When I joined the movement, it was already published. In fact, that was the first book I was ever given. It was a Krishna book. I gave a donation and received the Krishna book, the big volumes. So we would, before the program was in those days. I was in Gainesville at the time. So we get up in the morning, Mangal Arti, Guru Puja, Tulasi Puja, other direction, other order, and then we didn't, in Gainesville, we didn't really have deities that we were addressing, so we didn't really have like greeting the deities, but we would have more kirtan, and we'd do all that, and then we spent most of the day in those days, because there was no real deity worship per se, at least not in that temple. So we would go out on Harinam Sankirtan, go out chanting in the streets, and then we would, and half the devotees in the temple, we had, at that time I was there, we had about 16 devotees living in a small place. And actually japa time, we would chant all around. The rule was you couldn't walk out of the temple room, unless maybe you'd run to the bathroom for a second. You had to come back. Nobody could go to sleep in the morning. So we would we'd have Mangal Arti and Tulasi Puja, and then everyone had to stay in the temple. In the temple room was not bigger than our kitchen here. So we had 16 devotees in that room, and everyone chanting. And for 2 hours, everyone's chanting. And it got loud because everyone's chanting and trying to hear themselves. So it got very, and because we were all tired, because we're accustomed to sleeping about 3 or 4 hours more than what we're sleeping when we moved to the temple. So we're tired. So you're standing up or jumping up and down, trying to stay awake. Of course, we were a bit younger then, so we could actually jump up and down. But it was actually very nice, very potent chanting. And if your mind started to wander off, you had 15 others chanting, and it bring your mind back very quick. So that was the morning chanting, and then Srimad-bhagavatam class, where we would, it's like this, without all the electronics here now. And then we would have a nice class, but it wasn't just sitting there and having someone lecturing and everyone was sitting there. Every 5 minutes, somebody who's giving the class would say, "Okay, Dr. So-and-so, what are all the different features of the Lord in the heart that we just read about?" So it makes you think. You had to be alert, but it was actually very good. That's why I'm doing a little bit of that here these days. It was very good because it made you think. It made you be alert. So, and then all day on Harinam Sankirtan, half the devotees in the temple would be trying to sell books, mostly back to Guideheads at that point. And bigger books came a little after that, and the other half were selling books to the students, because there's Gainesville, there's a lot of students there at that time, and then the other half were chanting, in the corner. So you always had, you're out there dealing with individual students, but you're always hearing the holy names, and then you change positions, and you would be chanting, and somebody else would go out and sell books like that. So the point is here that, and then at the end of the day, so in the middle of the day we came back for lunch. At the end of the day we would have hot milk and read Krishna book. We drink a glass of hot milk at night, which was good. These days everyone's saying they're vegan and all this, but in those days, everyone was drinking milk, and milk is actually important. Milk is important. Srila Prabhupada said, Milk is important because by drinking milk, it helps to develop the finer brain tissues, the finer tissues of the brain, which is necessary for understanding spiritual life. So it's important. Now, if someone's just sick, has physical condition, they just can't take milk products, then what are you going to do? But if someone is thinking, okay, I'm going to be a really good vegetarian because I'm not going to take anything that comes from animals, that wasn't Srila Prabhupada's program like that. He encouraged it, and in India, those who were later on who were doing work in India, a lot of times the milk that you get in India is not cow milk; it's water buffalo milk, which is kind of thick, and I think it probably tastes good, but it's not the same as cow milk. That special benefit is from cow milk, not from buffalo milk. So anyway, we did like that, and so here Srila Prabhupada is writing. Not only by touching the body of the Lord, but simply by hearing his pastimes. We're reading Krishna book, which is his pastimes. And Srila Prabhupada said, you hear Krishna book at night attentively, and you dream about Krishna, which I had experience with a number of times when we were reading about Krishna at night. So it was actually true. Chanting his glories, touching his feet, and offering worship. So in other words, you do any kind of service that we can do is like touching Krishna. Even taking prasadam is touching Krishna. You're eating prasadam, honoring prasadam, which is non-different from Krishna, because food offered to Krishna, anything offered to Krishna becomes non-different from Krishna. We offer the flower to Krishna. That's why we pass it around and everyone smells it. That's contact with Krishna. We offer food to Krishna, and then we eat it, honor it. That's prasadam. We offer a flower garland to Krishna, and then we can wear the flower garlands. Nectar devotion gives specific benefits of wearing the flower garland offered to Krishna, like that. So in so many ways, all these are the results, or these are all different ways of actually touching the Supreme Lord. And if we do this, and we're chanting Hare Krishna, and we're following the program, then like Gajendra, we can go back to Godhead. But what Srila Prabhupada gave us was the means to not only go back to the spiritual world, but to actually go to Krishna Loka. Krishna Loka is higher than the Vaikuntha planets. Krishna Loka, the devotees who are there with Krishna, they don't all look like Krishna, and they don't know that Krishna is God. Vaikuntha planets, Krishna knows. Everyone knows Vaikuntha planets. Everyone knows that Krishna is God. But in the Krishna Loka, nobody really knows it. They just know that Krishna is my most wonderful friend, if it's a friendly, that kind of rasa, or the most wonderful son, if you're have a parental relationship with Krishna, or the most wonderful, you might be Krishna's servant, so he's the most wonderful master, but nobody actually understands that he is God. And so the relationship is very intimate like that. And Srila Prabhupada has given us the means by chanting Hare Krishna, by hearing about Krishna's pastimes, and so on, that we can go to Krishna Loka, not the Vaikuntha planets, but that we can experience that highest level of relationship with Krishna by going to Krishna Loka. And this is what Lord Chaitanya gave us. He didn't just come and give the ability to go back to Godhead and to Vaikuntha. He gave the ability to develop a particular kind of loving relationship with Krishna and to go to the spiritual world. This is what Lord Chaitanya gave, and this is what Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas in our line, especially since Lord Chaitanya, are also giving. It's getting late. Questions? Speak loud into the microphone.
So, Prabhu, as you mentioned in Krishna, everyone has a different relationship with Krishna.
Yes.
Like, either say Krishna as a son or a friend, but we as individuals, we can also develop here. We also develop different relationships with Krishna. Or
Yes.
is it only possible in Krishna?
We can start to develop these relationships with Krishna now. If we're inclined, is a certain point of advancement, spiritual advancement, when you can actually do this. It's described in Nectar of Devotion, check chapter 15 and chapter 16. It's all about that. It's spontaneous devotion. Spontaneous devotion is spontaneous devotion further explained. Those two chapters. Basically, it means when we get to the point where we're actually spontaneous. It doesn't mean you have understand our eternal rasa with Krishna, but we're doing the service basically more on the spontaneous level. When we get to that point, then under the guidance of a qualified devotee who actually has relationship with, actually knows his relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world, we can. Such a devotee can give us guidance, especially if we're inclined, if we know that, okay, I feel inclined to, I'd like to have a parental relationship with Krishna. Or I'd like to be a friend of Krishna, like a cowherd friend or something, cowherd boyfriend, or something like that. So if we really feel inclined in that way, then an advanced devotee who actually is a fully liberated devotee who knows, who actually knows what's going on in Krishna Loka, they can say, okay, so you start meditating. You're inclined as a devotee of, say you, may say a coward boyfriend of Krishna. So you meditate on this particular form, and this particular name. Your name will be such and such. Your form will be such and such. Your parents will be such and such. In the spiritual world, this is not somebody making up this. This is someone who actually, it's like someone like Srila Prabhupada who can actually give that knowledge. Here's so much information about this particular personality, but you have to practice and meditate daily on developing that relationship, seeing yourself in that way. At the same time, we're here, so you got to kind of like externally carry on your duties and everything, but internally, this is an internal meditation. Anyway, it's very advanced, but it is possible. If we don't do anything and we just follow like this, then we can still go back home, back to Godhead, and we'll be shown who we are then. But you want to make it happen a little bit quicker. If you're really anxious, just really want to develop this personal relationship with Krishna, then yes, it's possible through this method. If once you get to a certain point. In any case, check the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 15 and chapter 16. It tells all about this, and also there's also a description in the Harinam Chintamani, which is a book all about, there's a conversation between Haridas Thakur, who is a Namacharya. You know who Haridas Thakur is? He was the Haridas Thakur. He is. No. Haridas Thakur was an associate of Lord Chaitanya. Haridas Thakur is called Namacharya Haridas Thakur. He chanted Hare Krishna 192 rounds a day, every day. And Lord Chaitanya, of course, Lord Chaitanya knows everything, but he would ask Haridas, one time he asked Haridas Thakur certain questions about the holy name, because he's known as the Namacharya, the Charya of the holy name. So he asked about the holy name, and of course Lord Chaitanya actually was giving him Haridas Thakur the intelligence what to say, but that book is called Harinam Chintamani, written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and at the very end of it, then there's a description of the same thing that we were just talking about, the Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So it's something that you can do at that point of becoming very advanced. But yes, so we can develop we can actually develop that mood, and we can feel even now if you're doing your service, you can develop that mood. Um, um, you can develop that mood, that's for sure.
But this relationship, anyways, is predetermined, right?
Huh?
But
No, not necessarily. If you really want to have a certain relationship with Krishna, you cannot become someone who's already there. For example, spiritual world, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj. So if you say, I want to become Mother Yashoda. I want to also be Mother Yashoda. You can't do that. Mother Yashoda is eternally Mother Yashoda. So how do you have a parental relationship? She's the mother, Nanda Maharaj is the father. Because you can, because and this is also described in Nectar Devotion. I'm trying to encourage reading Nectar Devotion. The parental relationship means, of course, the topmost level parental relationship is Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda. But then, of course, there's Vasudeva and Devaki, because Krishna was actually born to them and then given to be raised by Nanda and Yashoda. So, and then all the elderly gopis, elderly cowherd ladies in Vrindavan, they all saw Krishna kind of like their son anyway, because they loved him so much. And in the pastime, which I know I've described here in the class before, when Lord Brahma stole all the cows and cowherd boys and everything away. So when he stole them all away, Krishna manifested as cows and cowherd boys, or calves and cowherd boys. So for that period of time, until Lord Brahma brought the boys back, then all those thousands and however many there were, cowherd men and cowherd women, fathers and mothers in Vrindavan, all of them were, they all had Krishna as their son. They didn't understand it was Krishna. They thought it was their own son, but the loving relationship with Krishna with their son was just like it is with Krishna. So that way, they all had parental relationship with Krishna, for their fathers or mothers like that. So and there's unlimited possible cowherd men and cowherd women. So you can have that relationship with Krishna, or you can become a friend, cowherd boyfriend of Krishna, or if you want to. Our bodies now don't mean anything. Rupa Goswami was Rupa Manjari. It is Rupa Manjari in the spiritual world, who's a gopi. So Srila Rupa Goswami, who wrote the Nectar Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, she'll probably wrote Nectar Devotion. But Rupa Goswami wrote the book that Nectar Devotion is based on, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And so he's got a male body, but in the spiritual world, he is Rupa Manjari, who was a special gopi, associated with Krishna, a female associated with Krishna, like that. So our present bodies don't mean anything. Even now, we male body one lifetime, and previous lifetime, we maybe had female body. We're back and forth all the time. So spiritual world, but we have some eternal identity there. It doesn't really matter it doesn't relate necessarily to the kind of body we have right now in this lifetime. Is that the only question?
Well, also, just a quick question. Um, so, how about the families, especially a lot of families who keep their own family altar for generations? So that help. Or he said we are worshiping deities, but is it only necessary to do it in the temple? I mean, we do it in
You can worship
our
Krishna in your home too.
yes, yes. But would it help? Would it help? Is that with the spiritual advancement?
Yes,
Well,
if you do, if you,
to follow the specific rules that we worship with, we serve.
Krishna is the same in the temple or in the home. The only thing is in the home, the tendency is to be maybe not as strict. Uh, um, so home worship is a little bit different because you gotta just like you what you cook for Krishna in the home probably has something to do with what your family who's going to eat it is going to what they want to eat. But you're still offering to Krishna. But other than that, you can sure you can worship Krishna in your home, and if you actually are worshiping with devotion, then that will definitely help you to advance in spiritual life. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur worshipped some particular deity in his home, and he describes in one of his songs, he said, I was worshiping, one day I was going on to doing my regular daily service, and all of a sudden, and the song says, all of a sudden, my house became transformed into Krishna Loka. Because he was pure devotee of Krishna. So all of a sudden his house, so he sees Krishna Loka as his own home. So that's pretty advanced. But to answer your question, if we are advanced, if you have your own home, you're worshiping Krishna very, very sincerely, then we can realize it like that.
So it's not different than the temple.
No, no, it's no different from the temple as far as the ability to become Krishna conscious. Um, if we have the right attitude in the home, um, it's easier in a sense in the temple because it's very clear this is a temple. But in the home, if you are worshiping with the same mood, just like you worship Krishna in your home, when you worship Krishna in your home, uh, and the mood should be that this is not my home. This is Krishna's home. Krishna's living here, and we, family, we are servants of Krishna. This is his home. So we are cooking for him. We are waking him up in the morning. We're putting him in bed at night, like that. Deity service. We're maybe sewing clothes for him. We're um, depending on which was practical for you. You could have so many offerings a day. In the home, it's probably pretty simple because you've got all the household duties to take care of. But you do that, and if you're far away from a regular temple, a dedicated temple, then you do what you go as far as you can go in your home. But if you live nearby and there's opportunity sometimes to come to the temple and maybe dress the deities in the temple or cook the offering for the deities in the temple, then okay, your home deity worship is covered by you doing that. So it's not like you say, oh, I can't go to the temple anymore because my deities at home keep me so busy. We have also deities in our home, but we're here all the time. So this is not we don't really have separate worship like that. So, but if you have regular worship, even if you have regular worship in your home, you have an opportunity, and if it requires that you reduce for the day or for a couple hours something in your home worship so you can worship Krishna here, there's no problem with that. The home worship should not be an excuse to not do something at the temple also.
But at the same time, being at the altar, you said you need to have formal initiation, which not everyone.
Yes, which is not so much, is not as so important in the home. So you do what you can do. Yeah.
You do the same service, but without initiation.
Yes. Yes, you don't have to, in your home, you don't have to have second initiation. Of course, it doesn't hurt to have it. I mean, we should aspire for it. The second initiation is not only for doing deity service, we get to chant the Gayatri mantra, which well, you'll get that when that time comes. And that chanting Gayatri mantra will also help you to advance more quickly in spiritual life, along with the chanting Hare Krishna. I have duties to do, so I'm going to finish up here really quick. So we'll end here for right now. Thank you for those who came in. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.